Some of the perpetrators were taxi drivers, teachers, and even parents.
You must respect an individual when they say, I do not like something. No means no.
This Sunday, Garth and Natasha speak with the head of the GBV unit, Senior Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, to educate and sensitize you on sexual assault, child protection, and domestic violence. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
This Sunday, on episode 50 of Eye on Dependency, reality radio at its best.
As we close off the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence on December 10th, Human Rights Day, we welcome the Gender-Based Violence Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In the past 3 years, there have been 1,200 reports of sexual offenses, including rape and sexual assault. Some of the perpetrators were taxi drivers, teachers, and even parents.
You must respect an individual when they say, I do not like something. No means no.
This Sunday, Garth and Natasha speak with the head of the GBV unit, Senior Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, to educate and sensitize you on sexual assault, child protection, and domestic violence. Listen live sexual on assault. Some of the perpetrators were taxi drivers, teachers, and even parents.
You must respect an individual when they say, I do not like something. No means no.
This Sunday, Garth and Natasha speak with the head of the GBV unit, Senior Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, to educate and sensitize you on sexual assault, child protection, and domestic violence. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives. In this farm, fear not, fear never. The fearless one is here on I-95.5 FM. I Sports. It matters not who you are. Politician, lawyer, administrator, doctor, or caller.
On this farm, no stone will be left unturned. People are like animals, and sometimes they need to be treated that way on iSports.
Being short does not mean you get a timeout. Give back to football. You have gained a lot. iSports with
This Sunday, on episode 50 of Eye on Dependency, reality radio at its best.
As we close off the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence on December 10th, Human Rights Day, we welcome the Gender-Based Violence Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In the past 3 years, there have been 1,200 reports of sexual offenses, including rape and sexual assault. Some of the perpetrators were taxi drivers, teachers, and even parents.
You must respect an individual when they say, I do not like something. No means no.
This Sunday, Garth and Natasha speak with the head of the GBV unit, Senior Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, to educate and sensitize you on sexual assault, child protection, and domestic violence. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to our Dependency. We apologize for the late start. And good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning to our listeners on I-95.5 FM and our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, we thank you so much. And we have a very important guest in studio with us this morning. Very busy Superintendent of Police. I call her Senior Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne. And she's very grateful for the promotion. You know, we love to promote people here on Dependency. But she's here with us this morning, and we are truly, truly grateful as we come to an end of observation. Today is the final day for that observation for this year. 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. It is only fitting that we have the superintendent in studio here with us to tell us more. And believe me, we have a very, very interesting lineup for you this morning. Those of you who listen to on radio, as usual, we'll try to describe what we are showing you this morning. But as well, in continuing with our drug education, we have a video to show you about that drug called K2, synthetic marijuana, where they spraying chemicals on grass and selling it as marijuana. And you would not believe the response that some people experience. Also, a sex offender will tell a short story, and we have one dedicated to teachers this morning of a teacher calling a parent, and the parent's response will amaze you. All that's happening this morning, but to focus on why we are here, I'll share with you Claire Guy-Alleyne is a woman superintendent of police within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. She was selected by the Commissioner of Police and placed in charge of the Special Victims Department within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in January 2021. The unit comprises of the Gender-Based Violence Unit, the Child Protection Unit, and the Sexual Offences Unit. The Gender-Based Violence Unit was launched by the Commissioner of Police and his executive on Tuesday, 21 January 2020, and Claire Guy-Alleyne was given the responsibility to be in charge of that unit. She has 29 years service within the TTPS. She's a holder of a Bachelor's of Law degree with honours from the University of London. She was also deemed a fingerprint and crime scene expert in the Port of Spain High Court. She received training and certificates in evidence-based policing from Cambridge University investigating gender-based violence and special victims. Investigations from the NYPD, along with several certificates in law enforcement and leadership. She played a critical role in the developing of a module at the TTPS Training Academy, along with personnel from the Spotlight Initiative, namely Gender Response Policing. This module is embedded in the said academy for all officers to be trained. Due to her passion and commitment, she was appointed the chairman of that said module. And believe me, folks, it will take us half of the program to go through the rest of her bio, but I will try to touch on some of them as we go along to share with you, because her presence here is, speaks for itself. Good morning. Good morning to you, Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne.
Good morning, good morning. On behalf of the Commissioner of Police, we are so happy to be here to share information this morning.
And
Indeed.
we are indeed happy to have you.
Yes, we are. Again, as we wind down these 16 days of activism, before we get into the conversation, could you tell us a little bit about what the police service and your unit in particular focuses on during this period?
Well, the 16 days of activism, we amplify our voices within the organization. We do this 365 days a year, but persons, the lens are on us during that 16 days of activism. Right. Thus far, we had the community police, and they had a walk on the first day, the 25th of November, because that period is from the 25th of November going right up to the 10th of December. So we had community policing. They did their thing on the 25th of March. My unit did several walkabouts in the community, moved from door to door, having that conversation, that one-on-one conversation with the public to educate them about gender-based violence, child abuse. And it's amazing. My colleagues, they told me even when they had that conversation with persons didn't even realize that they are in a domestic violence relationship. And they understand that here's what, you don't have to come to the police to make a report. Because once you make a report to us, if you want us to come to you, that is the kind of environment we create within the Special Victims Department. We would come to you. Because, some people have a phobia with a police station.
Yes.
Yes, and
absolutely.
most of the times persons make reports to us. Within our department, the first question we would ask you, can you come to us or do you want us to come to you at a comfortable place? Once you tell us, here's what, I really don't want to come to a station, we will come out to you and the investigation would commence.
Because some of the experiences too from some people weren't too pleasant when interacting with some police officers as well. So that too.
And the Commissioner of Police, she frowns upon that, along with the executive.
Yes.
They frown upon that kind of behavior. And that is why we have that training within the organization, the gender responsive policing. Firstly, the special victims officers were trained, and then we spread it out to every officer within the organization. To date, I'm proud to say, we have 600 plus officers that are trained in gender responsive policing. We are not a perfect organization. Remember, we came from the society. And yes, police officers are held at a higher standard, and that is why I tell the public, anytime you go to a police station and the police officers are not doing what they're supposed to do, call out that bad behavior. Ask for the most senior person and let that senior officer know that you are not getting the service that you deserve and required.
And these units are spread across. So in each station, so let's say I go to West End Police Station, I can ask for the GBV unit in that station there.
I wish that was the case.
Oh,
because let me tell you something. And the public wish that too, Yeah. When the public interact with a special victims officer, they are like, oh my God, why are you all not at every station? We cannot be at every station because we are a specialized unit, as many of the other units within the organization. Yeah. There are 10 policing divisions throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and we are represented in each one of the policing divisions.
Okay, could you elaborate on that? So which means then, I live in Diego Martin.
Yes.
Which one of the stations? We have West End, we have Four Roads. Which one?
We are based at Coronado. So if you go to Western, because our Commissioner of Police have a policy whereby you can make a report at any police station, you can speak to any police officer who is on the beat, and you can make a report. However, if you go to Diego Martin and you make a report, it will be taken at that station and you would be referred to the Special Victims Department, which is based in Coronado.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Well, I thought, but as you said, it would be ideal.
Yeah, people
for
really
every
want
station
that.
to have that. Yeah.
People really request that. They request that.
Okay.
But it's sort of impossible to do it at this time.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne. As you know, it's the end of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and we have a very fitting and informative program for you, led by the superintendent here this morning. So.
Right. So, in as much as we focus on victims and victim care, and we want to start by focusing on the perpetrators. We know that there is a very low rate of reporting these incidents. There's a low rate of conviction of these crimes, and I think the public should know what the penalties are for the crimes that come under your purview.
So the perpetrators we've heard, like taxi drivers,
and
clergymen.
Who the perpetrators could be.
Yes.
And why, and also why persons are reluctant to make the reports against them.
I love that question. Here's it. Child abuse, gender-based violence didn't start to happen yesterday or today. This has been happening from since time immemorial. But we have a lot of avenue now where persons feeling comfortable to come forward. We have social media, so it is sort of amplified and persons are seeing it in their faces. But these things have been around for time immemorial. When I joined the service in 1994, do not calculate my age, I'm still 25. Yes, when I joined the service in 1994, and even before that, women police came into the job. Women are really striving in the organization. We came into the job to investigate matters against women and children, you know.
Yeah.
So these things were wrong then. I have made millions of cases, not millions, but a number of cases where children have been sexually, physically abused, women have been assaulted by their spouses, intimate partners. So this is nothing new. But what I can tell you, when it comes to child abuse, the Children Act was amended in 2015 and it created stiffer penalties with respect to sexual abuse of children. So if they call it penetration, sexual penetration, and that is someone who has sex with a child and you penetrate the bodily orifice of a child with any part of your body. Yes? If you are found guilty of that offense, the penalty for that is life imprisonment. So I don't understand why perpetrators need to know the law, protect themselves, protect their urges. We are too sexual in Trinidad and Tobago, and we are sexual in an irresponsible way. Because if you understand who is a child, because in the law before, when a child was above 16, that child could have consented to sexual activity. But the point is, in 2015, with the amendment of the Act, a child is now defined as someone who is under the age of 18. So understand it, John Public, a child is under the age of 18 years old. And a child under the age of 18 years old cannot consent to sexual activity. Understand that. That is the law. Let us as adults protect our children, protect our girls and our women. Just Friday I was speaking to my ASP in my office and my inspector, ASP Arun. Hello to my entire team. I know you all are logged in. I hope so. Yes, they do so much awesome work. And I was speaking to him and I said, ASP, is children and women under attack in this Trinidad and Tobago? Because we are intimate with what is happening within the unit and we review all the reports on a daily basis. To date, we have interacted with close to 1,500, over 1,500 reports we have interacted with the public and received within the unit. Now, not all of it will be criminal reports. Some of it will be persons calling in to say, I have suspicion that so-and-so is happening in a neighborhood, and we would investigate it. But is it that our women and children are under attack? Not even our boy children are safe anymore.
Well, it brings me to this latest, and it's so ironic that it happened this week. You know, while we plan, you know, how long we plan this program, and I always say that God guides this program, because here it is, the president of a highly respected sporting organization in this country was arrested and charged, and it's alleged that he interfered with a 16-year-old boy, he and a businessman, same victim. I was floored when I read that. And I don't want to even call it, this is why we deliberately didn't put his picture up this morning, for one reason, ma'am. You know, if I say Claire could be anybody. But once I say Claire Guy-Alleyne, that's your family we're talking about here. And I could imagine the state of his family, if he has one, how they feeling to know that someone of high status can actually be doing this all the time to a 16-year-old boy.
And I don't want to speak to that matter.
Allegedly, yes, allegedly, but it was in the newspaper.
What is sad within our Trinidad and Tobago is that the perpetrator of these heinous crimes doesn't have a face. You know, you can't say it's the homeless person doing it.
Correct.
We have persons in high authority. When you look at the perpetrators within the unit that I operate there, we have perpetrators who are teachers, coaches. We have perpetrators who are fathers. I cannot understand. How can a father look at his daughter that you are supposed to nurture. How can you do that? You have to be in some kind of level of evil. But there's a special place in hell for these perpetrators, eh?
Now, as we like to do here, ma'am, have you ever, and your unit, have you ever asked why? You know, I mean, okay, I keep using my story as an example. Cocaine got a hold of me, and I made hog food of my life in my earlier life, right? So I have a reason why. And the drug can't do that to you. But when someone has a fetish, and in some country there's a name, they came up with a name for a group of people like that.
Pedophile?
No.
What is that now?
Minor attracted persons. Yes.
Minor
Yes.
attracted persons.
Minor attracted individuals. Look it up, people. Tony Lee spoke about that earlier on this week. Minor attracted individuals. Have you all ever asked them why?
Why are we giving it such a pretty name?
Yeah.
We should look for a more evil name for that for that kind of action.
Because I think it's an intent of to have, like, just like we have the LGBTQ community, we have now the minor attracted
they're trying to normalize these
Yes,
kind
they're
of
trying to
dirty
normalize it.
behavior.
Yes.
And we must call it out in society when we see it. You know, this is dirty behavior. And we need to call it out and stop it in society.
But have you all ever asked why?
But I have
How could you do this to your daughter? What were you
Yes.
feeling?
I have spoken to a few perpetrators, and my colleagues as well have spoken to perpetrators, because let me tell you something. A man is innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Yes.
So when you come into our sphere of our investigation, when we are ready to interview the accused person, we treat you with dignity and respect, you know. You are treated as a human being, although it's a heinous crime that you would have committed.
Right.
So sometimes they would level with us, and they would say, you know, I don't know why I did that. I don't know what came over me. What came over you is because you're evil, you're wicked.
But ma'am, hold on.
No, but especially when these things happen over years. I mean, we've heard stories here from victims who have suffered for years at the hands of their abuser, you know, and I don't know why it seems as if it is allowed to happen because people are so afraid of making them out.
Let me tell you something.
Putting them on the spot.
Let me tell you something. Now, this is just my opinion based on the investigations that we do. Because even though I'm the superintendent, sometimes because a unit is based right by my office in St. Clair. So from time to time, I will get up from my office and go across to the unit. You know, sometimes sit with the I don't like to call them victims, survivors. Because from the time you start to make the report, you move from a victim mode into a survivor mode.
Yes, correct.
So whenever, sometimes you would go across and I see different dynamics relative to survivors that come forward. Let me tell you something. We cannot normalize this thing in society at all. There are survivors who are children who have fathers who are sexually abusing them, and sometimes when the survivor realizes that the police is taking a statement from me to go and lock up my father, they recant. They recant because this has been happening to them over a period of time, and sometimes the survivor thinks that it's normal and they are in love with the perpetrator. Yes, watch me, God. I'm telling you.
I'm watching.
Yes. They think that they are in love with the perpetrator because I'm telling you 95% of the times the perpetrator is well known and it's always somebody that the child trusts. Especially our teenagers. Remember when our teenagers are going through that nice puberty period. That is why we need to have age-appropriate conversation with our children and not just the girls, you know.
Yes.
We have to have that age-appropriate conversation with our children, letting them know what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate touch and what is inappropriate. We should not use the word bad touch and good touch because let us face the reality. Some bad touch may make you feel good.
Right.
So you want to use the proper word that the child will not be confused. Next thing you're saying bad touch and good touch. And then when the perpetrator touches the child feels a nice way.
There's a good touch to them.
Exactly. So we
Okay,
need
understood.
to look at the terms that we use when we are speaking to children. And as we are on the topic of terms, within the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, and we will make our recommendations. I do not like the word. We have a section within the Children Act, Section 40. They speak about child pornography. I don't like how that sounds. I don't like how that sounds.
Agreed.
Internationally now, they are calling it child sexual abuse material.
Yes.
And we need to get on board with that. You see, the terms and the narrative that we use, we need to be very, very careful.
Because pornography implies consent.
Consent. And a child cannot consent to anything. So better we adopt the international terms, child sexual abuse material.
Ma'am, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne. Ma'am, again, let me go back. I am married. My wife gave birth to a beautiful daughter, a beautiful son. But for some reason, I have feelings. I want to bathe my daughter more than my wife. And there must be something, and I think if it's not being done, then I am hoping one day we could get someone to volunteer to say, you have a wife. How could you molest your own daughter or go outside and molest your coach, and you are pulling in people in your camp and abusing young men? There must be some chemical imbalance. There's some people, apart from being evil, ma'am, there must be something driving this.
I want to believe it's a psychological, it's as much a psychological as a physical thing. Just like how we talk about rape as an act of power dominance over another individual. I think it's the same with sexual abuse.
It is. It is that power and control and coercion. Well,
until we find out, I think it's a question that will remain in the air for me, because, I am sitting here eating roti and you have pilau, and I thieving some of your pilau to eat with my roti. It makes no sense, and I think
and it stands to reason too, Garth, why it is more of a psychological thing. What the superintendent just explained about survivors not wanting to see the perpetrator come to any harm or get in trouble, because they have developed or they have so indoctrinated this individual to the point where he or she believes that this is the only person who they could trust, who they can depend on, and if they are fingered as the accuser, then it will look worse for them than for the person who's actually hitting them.
And here sometimes family have a major role to play in this,
Oh, yes.
Sometimes we have family will tell the child, you would make your daddy get locked up, you will make your uncle get locked up, you will make your brother get locked up.
Yes.
We know that is happening at home.
You're trying to mash up my good living.
Good living.
Yeah.
And another thing, as we on the
Sick
good
people.
living story, I want John Public to understand and the listeners to understand here today, whenever a child come out and discloses sexual assault, believe that child.
Yes.
A lot of adults, the first thing a child start to speak about is sexual assault. You sure? What you was wearing at the time, what you was wearing had nothing to do with that. Believe that child and take that child immediately to the police station, because under the law as well, certain persons are mandated, and caregivers, parents, teachers, doctors are mandated by law to report any reasonable cause they have to suspect that a child is being sexually abused. You don't have to know, reasonably suspect. So report it. Believe the victim survivor at all times.
And there are some men out there who publicly state, and I heard one man when I was serving say that I'd rather break out my daughter before anybody else do it.
Utter nonsense. Utter nonsense.
And he said it with such pride.
That is sad.
That is crazy.
I was flabbergasted to hear that, that you
where does that come from?
I
don't know.
Mental
That's what I'm
health.
saying.
Mental
I need to
health
know.
is
We need to know.
real. These things are linked to mental health.
Folks, if you're just joining us, we're going to take a break because we have so many things to ask the superintendent here this morning that we're going to take advantage as much as we could. In this break, I know there is something that, again, Senator Hazel Thompson IE raised. And folks, you heard me speak about the senator last week, and I must say I must thank her very much for reaching out. And I must say of the senator, she does not have an air about her. She called me and she pointed me in a direction where she did give a response to the Mylat situation that she raised in the parliament, and we will share that with you. And next week, please God, what her response was. But the senator also raised an issue about this video we're going to show here on grooming. We're going to ask you to look at it during this break. It's the second video, and we'll ask Ma'am to give her thoughts on it, because the senator alluded to the fact that it's teaching people to groom, and I don't think that was the Ministry of National Security and the Counter Trafficking Unit's intent in having this PSA. It was actually showing how children are groomed.
Yes.
Right? But the senator made her comment on it, and we were asked to cease and desist from playing it until the strategic team will go over all the PSAs. But just for this morning, we're going to show you what that video was the senator commented on, and we'll ask Superintendent to give her comments on it. And let's see if we could come to some common ground here. All right, so you're listening to Our Dependency. We'll take a break, and we'll be back right after this with Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne.
Morning. Listen now. I've noticed something out. Them new people and them up bureau day. Where's that? Girl, the man that he passing up and down in front of here with a set of woman.
I really noticed some woman living there, And they can't even say as much as good morning.
Well, listen now. I wonder if it's human trafficking. You think it's that?
So, how can you spot and identify perpetrators and victims of trafficking? Many victims are found living and working together in the same place and sleep in shared and inappropriate spaces. Victims work excessively long hours. They often sleep in the daytime and work long nights. They are often escorted everywhere they go and may appear to be malnourished. They may show signs of physical abuse, drug and alcohol use, and may also appear withdrawn, fearful, or intimidated. Victims who are migrants are often not in possession of their identity or immigration documents and have irregular immigration status. Perpetrators can be male or female and may appear to be managing or controlling the victims. And they may even at times appear to be the victim's best friend, boyfriend, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Go, Sona! I come in! And don't give me no attitude there!
You have Shiana manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them. Scope them out. See if they have low self-esteem, family problems, Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to their problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you
Forget
and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice.
Look one right here. Try thing now.
A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
$50 by $20, $50 by $25.
This is Kyron Pollard. When you play, do it the legal way. Don't bet on illegal gaming.
Ion Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency, and we are talking about gender-based violence as we wrap up the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Today is the 10th of December. It's Human Rights Day. And in studio we have Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne from the Special Victims Unit, who's talking to us about the dynamic, the problem, I have to say, of sexual abuse, intimate partner violence, gender-based violence in Trinidad and Tobago. And we just saw a public service announcement out of the CTU about grooming. And there have been persons who have indicated that it may be a teaching tool for potential groomers rather than an advisory against the patterns of groomers.
The senator in her passion, for protecting children, she pronounced on it, and without discounting what she says, because so let's hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, Miss Hazel Thompson, I have a lot of respect for her.
Yes.
She's really passionate when it comes to women issues, children issues, and stuff like that. She's really, really passionate, and I really respect her view. And she may have some, she may be onto merit in what she's saying there.
Right.
But that video can be used as a two-prong. Yes. According to the senator, it may be teaching persons what to do to groom. Right. But secondly, it is also making the public aware what to look out for if someone is grooming you as a person. Because just like I explained before, during the 16 days of activism, I don't have the figures, but I wish I had the figures to tell you today how many persons within the public that we would have interacted with that did not know that they were in a domestic violence relationship. So sometimes we have to educate the public and let them know. But what you all could do is get together with Ms. Thompson IE and some of the other technocrats, let them look at the video and see what is the best way forward with respect to it. Because education is the key.
Yes. Because some people don't even know, some children don't even know they're being groomed, for instance.
Or adults can be groomed too.
Yes, right. They are not aware.
Okay, so if I am charged with picking up a child, dropping her to school. The parents, I have my eyes on this little child. The parents give, instead of paying me the money, they give the child, give the driver this, right? Every month they pay the driver $300-$400. The driver say, you keep it now, man.
Nonsense.
And you need something, buy it. That's grooming, not so?
Yes.
So talk to the people, please.
Yes. Let me tell you something. There's no manual telling you how to parent. But you have to be parenting intentionally. You have to look at the things that you do. Do not expose your children. All this driver is supposed to do is to pick your child up and drop your child to school.
Correct.
The transaction with payment should take place between the adults.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Take place between the adults. I'm not saying that all children are dishonest as well too. There are children, you would give them that money to pay the driver and they would not pay the driver. Now they're exposed to some kind of exploitation. You know how the thing goes?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
and they want to go to school and show off they have money too.
Exactly. Yeah. That money transaction is for parents to do, not for the child to do. Parents need to stop being lazy and take up their parenting role in a serious manner. Do not involve children in big people business. Long ago, I remember when my father was a prison officer. Good morning, Daddy. I hope you're listening. I love you and Mommy and everybody else.
Morning, Daddy.
Listen to me. When my father friends come over, my sister and my siblings and I, we knew that was a time for us to get into the bedroom. I am seeing now parents around having conversations and children sitting down there with their mouth dribbling, watching up in the people's mouth, listening to everything.
Yeah. Have them on their lap in some cases while they bad talk,
bad talking everybody. You can't be doing that and having big people conversation. A child must be a child at all times.
Yes.
You understand?
And to piggyback on that whole, when you mention on your lap, we have a tendency to force children to interact with adults in ways that they are not comfortable with. We are not sensitive to the child's desire and how they feel around this particular adult.
And that is real.
And of course, and especially around this Christmas time, you go and tell your auntie, you go and hug up your uncle, go and...
Yes. and listen to me. Anytime you see a child is hesitant to be around a particular family member, even a teacher. We have had instances where children get up on a morning, let's say it's in the July-August vacation. We have reports where children get up a particular morning and they said, Mommy, I don't want to go to school today. You know that's not raising a red flag in the parent head yet. Get up, you lazy so-and-so, and get yourself ready to go to school. You are not sitting with that child. And that is the thing. Children have rights.
Yes.
You sit with that child. Honey poo, sugar plum. Why you don't want to go to school this morning? But we're so busy in our business. You understand? We're not taking time to listen to our children. My advice to parents is that take at least an hour every single day, because we're busy, we working, and listen to your children. If your child says she doesn't or he doesn't want to go to school a particular morning, sit with that child for a little time and find out why. We have instances where teachers were sexually abusing the children. That is why they didn't want to go to school. We have parents living a life of regret right now, because if they had taken that little time and listened to that particular child, the child would not have been abused.
Is there a connection between the way some children behave in school, the anger, and domestic violence at home, and sexual?
You all bright too bad, you know. You all brilliant. There is a connection. There is a connection. Children practice what they see. Children mirror what they see. 3/4 of those children you see on the roads behaving how they're behaving, and I tell my colleagues, don't feel sorry for those children. Arrest and charge them. Record statement and charge these children. I am seeing several offenses. I will go and pick them up and charge them, you know. I will do the inquiry. They give me a chance. Let me tell you, children are in the public domain fighting. That's a criminal offense under the Summary Offences Act 1102. Fighting in a public place. Don't study if it's children. And, you know, sometimes we tell ourselves by not charging them, we are helping them. You see that lovely court down in Sinclair that they call the children court? You should bring somebody to talk on your program. Let me tell you something. Beautiful things are happening down there. Rehabilitation of the children. They have peer counseling. It's not about being punitive only. Listen, they have lovely programs to be able to rehabilitate a child.
All right, but let's say, look at this instance here now. If a young lady or a young man is being sexually molested at home, violently sometimes, no, they live under their parents' roof. They cannot, you could imagine raising your hand to hit your father or fight back with your father. But so they live in home all the time molested and harassed. All that pent up inside of them, they can't fight an adult. But you think if a child crosses their path, all that pent up anger and energy would be released on that child? That
could happen. And that is why, you see, when it comes to these crimes, creating that avenue where persons feel comfortable to speak about their experiences. That is why it takes a village to raise a child. That didn't come about just so, you know. So when that child leaves home, we must ensure that the school environment is a good place where that child can speak to a teacher, a school counselor, social worker at the school about their experiences. So we must be conscious in anything that we do involving children. We must be very, very conscious. We must understand that here's what the home must be a good environment. We must understand that the school must be an even better environment. So if something is happening at the home where the child is not comfortable to speak, the child must be able, when that child goes to school, there must be some support mechanism. And we have a way in Trinidad and Tobago. Morning, how you going? But you're not standing up and listening to hear what the person's saying, you know.
Yes.
So I am asking teachers, principals, social workers, be intimately involved with children. Create that when you come to class on a morning, I don't know, long ago in my time, when you come to class, they used to have a time they call form period.
Yeah.
You see that time? The teacher must be intimate with people. You create an atmosphere. So if something is happening with a child in your class during the break time, that child must be able to run to you and say, Miss, so-and-so is happening at home. So creating that environment is critical.
No. In staying with the domestic violence and staying in the home, can a husband or significant other be charged, especially a husband? Can a husband be charged for raping his wife?
Charged and lost in jail.
Elaborate,
men
please.
Men have to understand that women, like in the Bible days, women used to be chattel and possessions. You see today, women are no longer that. And there was a case, R versus R, right, that changed all the dynamics in that. A woman can say no to her husband and he has to respect that. If that woman says no, no means no. No doesn't mean try to convince me to say otherwise. No doesn't mean go ahead. I hear men saying nonsense about she's saying no with her mouth, but her body is saying yes. What is that? Are you a seer man?
No, but that's my wife. I went to church and swear.
Yes,
by,
but you
know,
don't
by
have.
And why must my wife? She wearing my ring?
Yeah.
And she could tell me no. Are you crazy?
She can tell you no, and you better try get up, go in the fridge, and drink some cold water and cool down.
My married wife.
Your married wife.
I could be charged for raping her.
You can and will be charged if you rape your child, if you take sexual involved in sexual activity with your wife without her consent. When she's saying no, you will be charged. Once she come and she make a report, we record statement, we will visit your scene, we will take exhibits, and you will be charged.
That ain't fair, man.
Very, very fair.
Okay, if you say so.
Why is it
men
not
only
fair?
hear that, right?
Yes.
No,
Very,
men only hear
very
that.
fair.
You know, and I mean, yeah, men like us could understand, but there are men out there who don't understand
No
that, Natasha.
control.
They because they
as you
consider
say, no
their
means
wife.
no.
No means
They
no.
consider their wife to be their property, so they could do what they will.
And that's why domestic violence happens.
Correct.
Yeah, you're my
Yeah.
wife. You are my
Correct.
wife. How
And
you
that
can tell me no?
extends, as the superintendent is saying, that extends to physical violence against your partner, your spouse.
Yes.
Because you feel you have a right, because you vex, you could put your hand on somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody have rights.
No,
you know?
man, you can't be
Your
doing
parents
that.
tell you your body is your body and my body is my body. People have to respect people. Domestic violence, sexual abuse is a grave breach of one's human rights.
Yes.
And we have to get our act together from a very tender age. We must train our children to know that. A thing that I'm speaking about recently, and it's something we just overlook. Sometimes you have children, and I remember growing up and seeing it happen as well. People will be tickling you, and you will tell them, stop, stop. And they're continuing, and everybody in the room is laughing. But you did tell that person to stop. I am asking, when that is happening and a child says, stop, stop immediately. Because when you do that, you remember everything is a teaching moment for children, you know.
Yes.
When you continue like that, you are telling that child it's okay to breach people's consent and breach people's human rights from a very, very tender age. When the child says stop, you said, okay, you don't like that, let me stop. That's a teaching moment there for that child.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have in studio with us Senior Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, and as she take us through, you know, what you need to know. So I want you to be very emphatic, ma'am, before we move on, to men out there, to husbands out there, and wives, what they can do if they say no and their husbands force themselves on them.
Husbands, your wife body is her body. It's not your body and her body, it's her body. If your wife says no during sexual activity, and the sexual activity could have started, and during that sexual activity she says, James, listen, stop. You are to immediately stop, get up, wrap a towel around yourself or a robe, go into the fridge and drink some water and cool down. And wives, if you said no and your husbands continued, you can come and make a report and we will investigate the report. People must respect people, and you have rights, women.
James, I heard you heard that. I hope you heard that. But what about if it's the other way around now? If the man tell his wife, is it the same thing, right? The man say no?
He can make a report. We'll investigate it.
Yeah, but I find you smiling while you're saying that word.
We may not be able to charge for it, but we can make a report. Intervention can take place.
Now, this
But
intervention.
that is an issue I think we should clarify before we move on. How can a man be assaulted in law? What are the ways in which a man can be sexually assaulted? A man or a boy?
Because that troubles me too when I hear it.
Well, a man and a boy can be sexually assaulted. There are different offenses under the Sexual Offences Act.
By a woman, eh? Not a man.
Yes, by a woman. It could be a woman or an ex-man.
Right.
Right? We have, for example, we have indecent assault, we have serious indecency. If persons are touching you without their consent and all that kind of thing, you can make a report. Because, and you see, that is the thing. We don't create a society where we allow men to be men and to be human. So if that happens to a man, he might consider it. He's been exploited, you know.
Yes.
But he may consider it as a macho thing. A woman is doing this and that to me, and that's a macho thing. But really and truly, I didn't like it. I am saying make a report. We'll investigate. We are here for men, women, boys, and girls, you know.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Okay, and thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for clearing that up to some of the men who feel that you own your wife and you cannot be charged for raping them. I hope that sunk in this morning. Now, back to the mothers, as Natasha said, we have interviewed people here who, when they told their mother, the mother actually gang up with the stepfather and beat the living daylight out of the child. We have that on record. What are some of the questions you ask these mothers when you find out, and why do they do it? Could you give some examples and some reasons why some women refuse to report their daughter or son being molested by a father or stepfather?
Or family member.
Or family member.
There may be a lot of reasons. For example, financial dependency. He or she may be the only breadwinner in the home. You know, so some women may feel compelled not to make the report, and that is why the Sexual Offences Act, they have that mandatory reporting law where persons have to report. You are mandated to report. If you fail to report, you can be charged. And we have had instances where children, they would have told a grandmother or even a teacher. That's why I tell you, we have to create safe spaces for children, be it by the grandmother's home, be it at school, so that if something is happening at home, that child must have someone she trusts or he trusts to be able to say what is happening to him or her wrong at the home. So, you know, there's a lot of dynamics that is happening. And that is why I always say, believe your survivors. Believe your survivors. We have too many times women trust men to leave their children with these men. And we are in the Christmas season.
Yes.
Where women, you know, we love to shop and we love to buy the curtains and all these kind of things. And we may be wondering because school is now closed. I am asking parents, be vigilant, be aware, be careful with whom you are leaving your children with. We have a lot of Christmas parties as well, where you may want to attend and you do not have trusted babysitters or trusted adults that you can leave your children with. Please, please, forget the party and stay home with your children. Stay home with your children. We have recognized after every school vacation, there's an influx of children being sexually assaulted. After every school vacation. You see that July, August, we have a kind of less reporting. And our school opened back in September. Influx of reports. Our head cannot come above water. Wow. Yes. So, you know, people, perpetrators need to leave the children because sometimes we only coming down on the victim, and the survivor. We need to come down on the perpetrators. Perpetrators, you all need to leave these children alone. Leave these human beings alone. Leave our women. And our men, if you all are sexually exploited, we are asking you to come forward and let us investigate these matters. For all you know, some of these men are sexually assaulted, and that is why they become perpetrators to domestic violence.
Well,
We'll have to do that study.
I was just about to ask that question. Have you ever come across cases where a man would admit that he was sexually molested as a child?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We have come across instances like that.
Right.
And some persons feel that it is normalized. That you ever heard the term hurting people hurt people?
Yes.
Right. We have had that. We have also had instances where perpetrators will tell you, I used to get licks like rain. And you see that nonsense where adults saying they got rid of corporal punishment.
Yes.
Section 4 of the Children Act.
That's
Teachers
good,
cannot beat children again. And even parents, in administering corporal punishment, they must be reasonable. I hear adults saying, I get licks like rain, and look how I turn out.
Yes, you're damaged.
But listen to
You're
me.
damaged.
Did you really turn out good? No, we might have some people who are doctors, lawyers, attorneys, police officers.
Yes.
But it really and truly, you think you really turn out good?
You did not. I telling you.
I don't think you did.
No, they did not.
And let us face the reality. Violence is not the answer to dealing with conflict.
Thank you.
And we need to teach our children that from a tender age.
And they started doing it in the medical institutions because now they don't slap babies anymore when they birth them.
You see?
Yeah, they don't
You
do
see?
it any longer. Normally they used to take them, hang them upside down, and then twat. And
Yes,
the child had to
that
cry.
is
They stopped
true.
doing that.
So violence starts from the time you
That's
come
what
out
they
of the
said.
womb.
It releases the anger energy in the child from a very early age.
You
So
see?
they stop doing it.
Thank you.
And no, I don't want to give Santa Claus a bad
You
rap.
educate me, dear boy.
Yeah, I've seen it many times. I did some research and I realized that they stopped slapping babies when
This
they
is
birth them.
excellent.
Yeah. As well, I don't want to give Santa Claus a bad rap, man, but in some countries they started speaking about this, putting the child to sit on Santa's lap.
You see that?
Are we looking at that in Trinidad? Because we have Santa here too, right? Remember, we have
do.
snow here during this time. So we have Santa to accommodate
See this
the malls
sitting?
and all of
You
that.
see this sitting on lap? Let these children stand up next to Santa. Eh?
Right.
You see this sitting on men lap, children sitting on men lap. I have a serious issue with it. Not all men are perverted, but I like to operate on a stance out of an abundance of caution. Let us avoid certain things.
Yes.
Not everybody you're watching is normal. These children who sitting on Santa's lap, let them sit next to Santa with a toy and take out that photo.
Yes.
We are too sexual. We are sexual beings, you know.
Are you all listening, people?
We are sexual beings, and this is a stranger.
Do not let
Be
Santa
careful.
Complete stranger. You
Complete
have
stranger.
no idea what kind of jollies he could be getting off of having
Off of
children
doing that,
sitting on
lifting
his
up
lap.
and holding the children by their arm. No, by the bottom and all these things.
Yes.
We do not trust anybody when it comes to your children. I'm not saying for you to be paranoid, but we must be aware that we have sick people in society and we need to protect our children.
Yes, agreed.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, educating us here this morning. She's taking us to church.
God, before we go to a break, I want the superintendent to address this comment. Valentine says, I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I'm guessing it's a man. He says, good morning. If I go to the Bible, in 1 Corinthians 7, the wife body belonged to her husband and the husband body to the wife. How do you deal with that?
The Bible tell you that?
Well, this is what Valentine is saying.
Yes, but Mr. Valentine, Valentine.
The Bible is not the law, but anyway.
The Bible, yes, but we just interpret the Bible all kind of way. Now it says that the body belongs to each other and whatnot. But the point is, it didn't tell you to violate. It didn't tell you to rape. It did. You have to remember the human rights. We like to pull out 1 or 2 lines of the Bible and run with it. But we have to dig deeper and understand what is happening. Persons have rights and persons have the right to say no.
So by him putting that comment, what do you mean, Valentine?
I really want to know.
You're trying to justify violating your wife, raping your wife? Send up our next comment now to tell me why you cite this chapter in the Bible.
Because there are people who believe what they read in the Bible and the pastor tell them this is what the Bible say, you have to follow that. And that comes to corporal punishment as well. What they say about the rod and spare the child and all of that.
That's not what they mean. If we bring a priest here to talk, he will tell us what they mean.
Speaking of which, when there are parents and there are churches who encourage a wife to go back to her husband.
Yes.
What would you say to them, ma'am?
And we spoke about that
And
just
listen
last
to
week.
Me, I'm not lying, you all educated, You all asking some really, really pertinent and everyday questions.
Tell us about that, please.
We interact with that, I don't want to call out a religion, but I want to tell you about an experience when the gender-based violence unit was formed in 2020. A young lady came into my office in tears, in full tears. She said that she's of a particular religion and her husband have been abusing her for the last 20-something years. We took her report. I told her, I explained to her how we operate within the unit, and she had to hide to come to the station. She had to wait until her husband went to, I almost called the institution. He went to pray. That's a religion that is pray many times a day, right? And they would have, she waited until he left to do that, and then she came up to my office. Because that time we were doing a lot of outreach, and the persons know how they could have reached out to the unit. And she came specifically to speak to me. When she came, she told me about the incident, and I told her all the avenues that she could get help. I said, okay, we are going to record a statement from you now. No. She said, I have to go and speak to the, I nearly say it again. She said, I have to go and speak to the head of the organization, and then I will get back to you. I said, ma'am, I have a way. I just be very realist. I'm no psychologist. But once somebody is violent to you, I always think that the violence would escalate and that person is going to kill you.
Yes.
And I tell survivors that. I said, that person is gearing up to get rid of your life. Yes? So I told her, I said, ma'am, domestic violence is nothing to take too slight. We are here for you. We can help you. Do you want to go into a shelter? She refused all the help. She told me that she would come back. She spent 3 hours in my office. And without a statement, we cannot act.
Correct.
She said, I'm going home. I'm going to speak to the leader, and then I would get back to you. I am praying and hoping. She did not give us her phone number. Nothing at all. Her full address she did not give. All she said is that she's living in the central area. I am praying and hoping that that lady did get the help because she never came back to my office. So we have to, these religious institutions, we have to create an atmosphere where we are real with these survivors and perpetrators. If people are perpetrating, do not play it down as normal.
And there are mothers who do it. There are mothers who do it too.
Yes.
Because Natasha will go, or a young lady will go and say, tell her mother, my husband beating me up.
Go back home to your husband.
Go back home to your husband.
I don't want to hear
you married him and
you.
you have to be loyal to him.
Yes.
What kind of rubbish is that?
No, we have to stop that. We have survivors who tell us that as well. They are so happy when they come in our sphere. You hear people speak the police, but good things are happening within the organization.
We know that. We know that.
Good things are happening.
Yes.
We are taking a lot of weapons off the street, a lot of drugs. We are doing good things. And sometimes when persons come in our sphere, they are like, oh my God, you all are so supportive. You all are better than my family and some of my friends.
Right, there you go.
Because we hold your hand and we guide you through the process, We guide you through it because a domestic violence and a sexually abused victim is a lost person, Sometimes they can't even get up to brush their teeth. They don't know what to do because they are around this perpetrator all the time. So when they come in our sphere and we offer them that victim and witness support, Ms. Aisha Kobe and them, excellent job in the organization.
Yes.
And we also know, because we network, this thing is not about the police alone, because in truth, we are really enforcers of the law,
Yes.
But we do preventative work, we do responding work, and then we do work to combat this scourge, right? We do all the work. And at the end of the day, we create that thing where the survivor would get that psychosocial assistance from victim and witness support or any other psychosocial agency in Trinidad and Tobago.
And that's important. I think that's an important point that you raised, because often victims will not want to go to the police because they consider that to be, an escalation of the whole issue.
Correct.
But at sometimes that is your only resort because your friends and your family are not providing the
we
support.
We have survivors who come to us with snot in the nose and tears. And hear what? You can't even get a word out of them. But what we do, we will talk to them, continue letting them know we are here for you, we care, and then I will call Miss Aisha Kobe, I need instant help immediately. Can you send a psychologist? Can you send one of your people across? And we would allow that person to speak to the survivor. Listen to me. Within an hour's time, the psychologist would come out and say, you all go back in now. And when we go back in, tears dry up, We got that psychosocial help for that victim. And after that, that victim is ready. That victim is now empowered. Sometimes it happens within the hour. Sometimes it takes days. These investigations, you can't be too hurry,
True.
You can't be too hurry at all because sometimes a person is not in a position to give you a statement. So sometimes we have interviews and then we have the statement to record after. Sometimes the survivor will just tell you, so-and-so did this to me. And that may be all you have, for that day. And then you have to offer the psychosocial. And then you have to take a 2-3 days. Sometimes we have months before a victim or a survivor give us a statement. It's not a nice thing.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and in studio with us is Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, and she's taking us through the steps this morning. And I want to say to the young lady there who's listening this morning, don't study your mother and let your body be that bargaining chip to keep money coming in the house. You're worth more than that. Your stepfather or your father is molesting you, forget your mother. She's a demon for telling you, don't break up with good living. And continue to take being molested by your father or stepfather because for a few dollars more, that means your body worth nothing. Understand that. Report it. And I'm hoping that the superintendent will give us, you said there are 10 in 10 divisions or where you're located so that the nearest one, people the nearest to them can...
They can go anyone,
right.
Anyone. I'll give out the time in a while.
Right. Now, after this break, when we come back, we're going to hear from someone who was labeled a sex offender. This happened outside of Trinidad and Tobago. And then we'll ask ma'am to touch a bit on the sexual offender, the registry that you've been hearing about, sexual offences registry. That's a very important thing because in some countries you stay on this registry for life. And your passport, your ID card, and other documents stamped sexual offender.
Basically,
how it is in Trinidad and Tobago? Well, we'll touch on that a bit when we return.
Oh, and Valentine said no, he was just asking for information.
Oh, okay, Valentine. Thanks, eh?
I hope so. Thank you.
Let's go to that break. We'll be right back.
50 by 20, 50 by 25.
This is Kyron Pollard. When you play, do it the legal way. Don't bet on illegal gaming.
The sex trafficking is a serious thing in a way.
Sex trafficking? I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, me not about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live, on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page, and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. We are talking about gender-based violence and sexual abuse this morning. It's Human Rights Day. It is the last day of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and we have in studio Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne. Now, Superintendent, there's the video we would like to share with you. This video, Garth, is the one with the teacher and the parent?
No, the one who was labeled a sex offender.
The sex offender, right. This video basically is telling the story of a young man who was charged and placed on a sex offenders registry at the age of 12. And he is explaining how that has impacted his life. And after the video, we would, if you can, share some information about how the registry works in Trinidad, and importantly, some of the things that members of the public cannot do with the information they find on the registry.
I'm not a monster. I'm a person that made mistakes. I was a child. And I didn't even know what I was doing.
We all want to protect children. Listing juveniles on the public sex offender registry doesn't protect anyone. Putting their name and their faces and their address on the public registry devastates entire families.
We were playing with dolls, and the dolls were kissing, then we were kissing, and then it led to little fondling, over the clothes, under the clothes. That was it, but obviously that was enough to convict.
I was 12 and she was 8. I was during the summer, and I, experimented and did some things that shouldn't have done, but that I didn't know.
I didn't know the consequences. I thought something like this came with a grounding or a spanking. I was still that young. I've spent maybe close to 8 years behind bars.
Is that you?
That is me. I was young, right? When you hear sex offender, you don't think it's a 12-year-old little boy that's crying himself to sleep in a juvenile cell.
Most people think if you're on a registry, you're definitely dangerous. And so, but it's really, the real fact about it is that there's a broad range of offenses that can place a person, or especially a child, on the registry.
Where's your socks?
We all want to keep our children safe. The problem is that the laws are based on faulty assumptions. They're based on the assumption that children and adolescents who commit sex offenses are at high risk to commit more sex offenses. This isn't true. There are many studies, there's been over 30, that show low recidivism rates for youth who have sexually offended. That's the main point of registration and notification, is to reduce sexual recidivism, and that does not work.
I was a child. I was misunderstood. I did something wrong, yes. Punish me, and punish me appropriately. But don't throw me into a den of lions.
And I can understand paying some sort of price for doing something that wasn't right, but absolutely not have them put on the public registry. And to have their names in all of the local newspapers and then expect them to go to school and mingle with the other kids.
the police will publish your information on the official website. In some states, they'll make mailers, they'll make flyers. Sometimes it's lawn signs saying sex offender lives here.
And all the neighbors were handed out pamphlets describing my sons in the house and where the sex offenders live. Vigilante groups coming to my house, a Molotov cocktail thrown at the house. The holes are still there around my bedroom window where the BBs went through the vinyl siding on the house. They were 11 and 13 years old.
A person on the registry, even if it's a person that's 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, cannot enter or live in zones that are frequented by children, meaning a park, a daycare, a nursery, a school.
I've found it hard to find a place to live. It's been difficult to keep jobs. I dropped out of college because of the registry. The registry also directly affects my own children, my wife. We have moved 9 different times within the past 3 years. They've been in 4 or 5 different schools. And that makes me feel like a horrible parent because I can't give my children what they need.
No matter how hard they're trying right now in their lives to get their lives together, it's never going to go away. You just Google up their names and up comes all the sex offender information. For what happened when they were 10 and 12 years old is turning out to be a life sentence.
This person has this label for the rest of their life based on something that they did when they were a child.
Juveniles should not be subjected to registration or notification. In the absence of any supportive evidence whatsoever that there's a community safety effect, youth should be protected from these laws.
So we heard that story. I mean, this is not a unique issue, certainly not to the United States. But this particular case is not of an adult, but of a child being placed on the registry. Do we have a upper age limit in terms of the registry in Trinidad?
Well, in Trinidad and Tobago, we place adults. Adults are placed on the sex offenders registry. Now, I hear what the author is saying there, but why don't we try to prevent? Don't wait until a child commits an act of sexual assault and then you are saying to protect that child. I am saying start at a very tender age-appropriate conversation to prevent that child from becoming a sex offender. We need to have that conversation. The same consent. Consent is critical. Teach our children what is consent from a very tender age. Because he's saying that they started to play with a dolly and then this happened and that happened. Now, under the Children Act, Section 20, that law was created where it decriminalizes sexual activity with children who are close in age. Right? Because you know that children will sometime, explore.
Yes.
And, things can happen. But the thing about it is that as parents, let us try to prevent that from even happening. Yes, because that's Section 20, and I'm asking the public to read it up. I can't really go into all of it today. That Section 20 creates, it's where you're close in age. Person is 16 years, the person might be 3 years older when you look at perpetrator and victim, in inverted commas, right? It is decriminalized. You mustn't be in no familial relationship. There are certain things that must be covered. You mustn't be coerced. So if they are close in age and some force took place, it is not decriminalized. It is now a criminal offense, right? Yes.
And as far as the registry in Trinidad and Tobago, can you say what or how does it work and what can people do with the information they see there, they find there?
Right. The sex offenders registry is actually available to the public. The public can go onto the sex offenders registry. There are a number of names of persons who are on the registry, and the thing about it is that there are offenses that was created under the sex offenders registry. For example, you cannot screenshot, and we live in a society, people like to screenshot and, say all kinds of things when they repost. I don't know why the society is so evil. They say all manners of evil about persons, and they would want to repost these pictures from the sex offenders registry. That is an offense under the Sexual Offences Act. It is an offense. You cannot do that. So if you see someone, because we have to use it for the positives. Having a sex offenders registry is indeed an excellent thing in a country, and especially in Trinidad and Tobago, where we are small knit. It means that you can check the registry and see whether or not you have a sex offender in your community. And it is an opportunity for neighbors to get together and to be able, you wouldn't ostracize the offender, but you would be aware.
Yes.
Because we get reports where persons come out of jail, whether it's on bail or it's after conviction for years, and they're in a community, and you would allow your children to go and play with this gentleman. Parents are crazy, You know that this man came out of jail, and you would allow, because he's so into church, people hide under the clout of religion. Do not trust anybody around your children.
So, ma'am, if somebody moves into our area, and the way things work now, people moving into the area and they're not even talking there. They don't even say morning.
Correct.
Right? So we don't know who they are. We have that example right by us.
Yep.
Mother and daughter have moved in 2 years now and never said good morning once. We don't know these people.
That's the reality.
Right. Now, let me ask this. If someone moves in to our area, we don't know the person, how you get the information, maybe introduce yourself, because remember, if a sex offender is moving in other jurisdictions, you are required to let the community know, but I don't think we've reached there yet, and as you suggested,
the
when
police
we get
in the district would know.
Right.
Yes.
But as you said, when we have the opportunity, we will interview the people who in charge, the unit in charge of that sexual offender
That is the
registry.
Criminal Records Office.
Right. But if, and I decide, let me go and check on this person, I somehow manage to get their name, and I go on the registry and realize, but this person did some time for a sexual offense. I cannot share that in the WhatsApp group in the community.
No.
Okay.
Don't screenshot it and share it. What you could do amongst yourself is just to say that, you'll check the sex offenders registry, because it's public. So everyone in the neighborhood we could be alert in that kind of way, where you could check the sex offenders registry and you can see it for yourself. And it's not about going and say, look, you're a big raper man. No, don't do them thing now.
Right.
Just be aware and protect your women and girls and the community. Protect the community as a group. Be each other's keeper. And for all you know, that gentleman could be rehabilitated. But my point is, trust no one around your children, and you yourself trust no one. Just be aware and be careful.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have in studio with us Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, and who's taking us through giving us some very, very important information here. Natasha?
Yeah, we have interviewed some persons out of the States whose family member was placed on the registry for various reasons, or for like internet related stuff or crimes, and they have indicated how that has affected their families in a negative way. However, we know how Trinidad and Tobago society is. We like to gossip, we like to move along, we like old talk and bacchanal and to embarrass and shame people. And this, I'm glad that revealing that information on the registry to distribute it publicly is an offense, because I think Trinidadians want to use that information to cause harm to somebody else, because that's what you're doing by spreading that information, because you may think you're trying to do a civic duty and inform everybody,
Yes.
but that is the role of the registry itself. That is not your role to broadcast that information to your community.
And the thing about it, our Commissioner of Police, she have recognized that this is a real issue. So she has given permission for us to sit with the AG office, and we are sitting together to do a public campaign to teach
About
the
the
public
registry.
about the registry and the implications about, the different offenses that will be created.
Yes.
So that will be rolling out in 2024. That's something that the public could look out for. Educating the public. It's not about trapping people. Education is the key, and it's critical.
Agreed.
Okay, so because there are a number of questions coming into my chat too as well about and comments, but I'm glad you sent this one, because I have a problem with men when I see men do this. But let me say, dealing with the import of sexual offenders onto the registry. If you have a hot pee, but no facility nearby, you may have to pee on yourself, because this person is saying that, let's say by a school, I don't know why people do it, but they will pull their car. I see plenty men, especially taxi drivers, pull up by a wall, pull up by a school, pull up and stand by the side of the road and pee.
Yes,
That's
which is an
crazy.
offense in itself.
It's an
isn't
offense,
it?
but that's indecent exposure.
But you remember some years ago, they had these blue and yellow kind of little caddy things that men could have gone and pee in.
Yeah.
We need to bring those things back.
Yes,
Because
yes.
let's face the reality, especially our diabetic men.
And
They want to
prostate
pee
problem.
and prostate problems.
Yeah.
They want to pee often.
Yeah.
So, they need to bring back those things, because let me tell you something. When you pull out that private part and you pee in public, you actually committing an offense. Indecent exposure. We have children around. We have the public around. We have to be careful.
I don't know how some men do it. I going up the highway or you see men jump out the car and just stand up by the side of the road.
But they choose to do that, because there are
course.
outlets that they can go to, the
you
different
could go to a rum
KFC,
shop,
different places, a bar,
Yes.
and relieve yourself.
Yeah.
Why you want
Yeah.
to do it in public?
Nobody see they're passing too many passengers on the way to go to
There's
the bar.
no respect they have. They have no respect for themselves, and they have no respect for users of the roadway and the public.
No, it's nasty. I don't like seeing it at all.
And they're not even washing their hand, and then they want to come
God.
and touch your face and
Thank
shake your
you.
hand.
Thank you.
Oh, God, I think after today I'm not shaking anybody's hand. Oh, wow.
And then you're handling money. If you're driving taxi, you're handling money.
boy.
God.
Dirty.
Nope.
Yeah, it's sad. So Superintendent, it's always a pleasure to hear you. It's always a pleasure. I can hear your passion every time you speak about this and deal with these issues. And this day on World Human Rights Day, and it's really fitting to have you here. And we want to thank you so much for spending the time with us here this morning and giving us some food for thought and more research to do. But we want to, Gary, video A now. We want you to comment on this as a mother. I want you to comment on this. Listen to this, and this is dedicated to teachers this morning. Gary, go ahead.
Hold up. This gotta be one of the realest videos on the internet right now.
This is Miss Glass from your child's school.
Yeah, I know who this is. What's going on?
Hey, I was calling because I'm having a little bit of an issue out of your son today. He is not wanting to sit down in his seat, and he will not stop talking. So
Oh my God, I thought he was sick. So y'all don't handle that?
Well, usually we use our behavior management system, which requires for us to call the parent if the behavior is
It
getting...
don't seem like it's really managing that. If y'all can't. I'm trying to work.
And I understand that, and I also am trying to work, but I want us to work together to ensure the success of your scholar.
She's trying to get smart. Okay.
No, ma'am, I'm not trying to get smart. I just want us to work together to ensure the success of your scholar.
Well, what he doing?
He won't sit down and he won't stop talking. Therefore, he's not able
You
to
tell me you
complete.
can't make him sit down.
Well, I can't make a child do anything. I can request it, I can ask it, but I can't make him do it. And so
Come on now.
I'm wanting to work together.
Like, I seen him up there to that school because y'all need to know how to handle him. I thought they had teachers that know how to handle kids. If y'all can't handle them, I don't know what you want me to do.
Dang. The internet is debating right now who is right in this situation and who is wrong. Was the teacher right for calling the mother because the kid is misbehaving, or was the mother wrong for going off on the teacher? When we look at society, we look at how children have been disrespecting their parents. We look at how the murder rate has been going up, how the robbings and carjackings have been going up. I'm gonna be real with you, man. All of that stuff that y'all seeing, all the craziness in the world right now, it starts at home. And when I say it starts at home, it starts with if the parents give a crap or not about what their child is doing. In my opinion, I think the teacher was right for calling the parent, because you got to understand we live in a sensitive time where the mother is saying, well, why don't you handle it? Why don't you make him sit down? Why don't you do this? But when that teacher turns around and actually makes that kid sit down, then they yelling child abuse. Then that same mother will turn around and say that that person is mistreating her child. You see what I'm saying? So it's a real trick bag, especially when you're a teacher. But I'm going to be real with you, ladies and gentlemen. I believe the root cause, what we're seeing in society with children who don't listen, children who don't respect authority, comes from the fact that their parents don't respect authority. And their parents are not holding them accountable, because some of these parents trying to be their kid best friend instead of teaching them. So how can you send this kid to school to be taught if the home training ain't starting at home? Woo! Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting so bad out here that students are fighting teachers, putting their hands on administrators. And shoot, a video just went viral just this week of a young kid having a temper tantrum because he couldn't catch a fish when he was out there fishing with his grandfather, and he actually pushed his elderly grandfather in the water, almost drowning that man. Y'all take a look at this.
But what you wearing before you come out catching the fish?
Hey, God!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my gosh! Oh my God! You all right? You can have him, Junior. Have him, Junior.
Woo! I would have never. There's no way you could do that in our generation. In our generation, there was no way a kid could do that. And our parents don't put the smack down and the wrath of God on our behind, ladies and gentlemen. Look here. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are older, they shall not depart from it. So when we see these kids getting older and they turn into young criminals and young demons and young goons, where was the training at? Because the Bible says if you train up a child in the way that they should go, they shall not depart from it. So if you're training your child up that it's okay to disrespect their elders, you're training your child up that it's okay to get D's and E's and fail school, and before you actually correct the student, you would rather curse out the teacher, like that video I showed y'all last week of the ballet teacher who's saying that the parents would rather curse them out than to discipline their child.
You confront the parent. The parent tries to argue with you and fuss at you because you tried to reprimand and redirect their kid. I told a young little girl, please sit in your spot. You're not my mom. You don't tell me what to do. When her mom came to pick her up, well, clearly she didn't want to sit. And mind you, this is a mom. Clearly she didn't want to fucking sit right there. So, I mean, if she's telling you she don't want to do something, why keep asking her to do it? You know she's not going to do it.
What?
What world do we live in?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's scary. And I'm telling you right now, y'all might think it's cute right now. Y'all might think it's not a big deal right now. But wait until them children get older and you can't handle them. Because for the last 18, 16 years, you've been teaching them that they ain't got to listen to nobody. And they've been watching you not listen to nobody. Then you wonder why the police officers coming to lock them little young thugs up. You see T.I.'s son talking about he's standing on business. It's getting crazy out here with these kids, man. We got to really focus on our future, because our future is our children, ladies and gentlemen. And so, look, man, I want to salute all the teachers out there trying to raise up the generation. Shout out to the teachers who are trying their best right now, who are trying to teach and educate children who aren't even being educated by their own parents. Teachers don't get enough thank you. Our educators, they get disrespected every day when they are the reason that we can be successful. So I want to shout out and thank all the teachers out there. See, it is our teachers that show us the way so that we can have a bright future. But if our children don't have teachers, if our children don't have the guidance of our parents, the future looking scary if we don't listen. The word of God says that in the last days, we will be seeing signs such as this, that mothers will hate their daughters and the fathers will hate their sons. The Bible says in the last days, people will be lovers of themselves and hate what is good. Ladies and gentlemen, it is good to teach your children, to love your children, to be the leaders, to be the guiders, because everything that they are learning, they're learning from watching you. Shout out to all the classy parents who who are raising young scholars and young leaders. The good people don't get enough credit. So I'm here to say, shout out to all the good parents and all the good teachers out there, trying their best, doing everything you can. Y'all the real heroes. Straight up.
Will do. Tell us what you think, Senior.
Wow. It's an excellent teaching tool. Now, and the speaker is correct. Parents, at the end of the day, imagine your child is in school and the teacher calls you in, and that is your conduct. That says a lot about what is happening at the home.
Yep.
And we could bring that right back here to us here at home in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, it's happening here for years. It has been happening.
Corporal punishment has been abolished. I mean, some people, I could count the times I get licks in school. I was a nice girl. But corporal punishment has been abolished. Teachers have to look at the way they correct children now. Right. And the teacher calls you in because this child is being disruptive. You should find yourself down to the school.
They're too busy working. The day for registration, they have the time. For some reason.
It's all kind of things these parents find time to do except to parent their children, you know. They want somebody else, either the police, the teacher, the stranger on the street, to parent their children. Since the advent of the opening of the children court there, if we go down there and find out how many parents have brought their children before the court as a child in need of supervision, if you supervise your children from a tender age, you wouldn't have to be bringing no 14-year-old and no 15-year-old before the children court as a child that is in need of supervision. Those were the children we used to call long ago, what you said, beyond control. But they don't use those adverse words when it comes to children in 2023 and 2015 with the new act. It is really sad. You cannot give up your parental responsibility. And there it is, the teacher is reaching out to you. And you couldn't care less. You're trying to justify all kind of nonsense.
And when they do discipline each child, you're going in school with your coolers on to fight down.
You remember recently we had a little video with a child who called her parents. Behaving as though the parent will come down and behave like a bad John in the school for the teacher.
And the poor teacher had to stand up and take that,
Yes, where are we heading? And when these things happen in the classroom, it disrupts the other children who want to learn.
But what freaks me out as well, ma'am, is that there are children in there cheering them on. Instead, there's no child in that whole setting would say, hey, girl, don't talk to the teacher like that. What's wrong with you? You know, everybody standing and who recording and who cheering on.
And nobody will stand up and say, listen, what you are doing is wrong. And that is why we need to teach our children, here's what, be a leader. You don't have to be the commissioner of police or a principal in a school to lead, wherever I was, I lead, I was leading since I was a constable,
That I'm out on you.
Not a mouth. I stand up for what is right and what is right.
So you're one of those people.
Yes, and even a child in a classroom, you could stand up for what is right, and we need to teach our children because remember, we are creating future leaders. So we have to teach them how to be leaders in their own right.
Let's go to this break, and before we take your calls, we have one more video to show you of a young man who took this drug called K2. Speaking with the minister last week, indicated that even fentanyl now will become a thing here. Folks, you all don't have a clue, If Lord Jesus, fix it. Let's go to this break. I'm going to come back and see the reaction of a young man who took K2 and how it affected him. It's a synthetic marijuana where some people who can't get their hands on real marijuana taking grass and spraying chemicals and packaging it real nice. It's a cheap way to get people high. After this break, you will see that. We'll be back.
Being a man doesn't mean you have to be dominant.
Being a man is being vulnerable.
A man is about being human. Gender-based violence always starts with smaller things.
That little comments on social media that you see your friends making.
We need to speak up in order to support women.
What are the sorts of things that you can do in your household?
Being open to your partners, being open to your children.
It might be that you do the cooking, washing, and the ironing. Simple things that can break down those stereotypes. Tradition is not static. Just because something has been part of a tradition doesn't make it right. You have a choice to reform and make your own tradition.
What can I do as a young man to support you? What can I do to make sure you feel safe? If we just ask directly, that's a small step you can do.
Gendered violence is not a woman's problem. It's everyone's problem.
You need to be the change you want to see.
We can and must do better.
Ah boy. I feel like going out and buy myself a senorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? What you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here? Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. And every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
50 by 20, 50 by 25.
This is Kyron Pollard. When you play, do it the legal way. Don't bet on illegal gaming.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you very much for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We hope you are enjoying and learning something from today's program. We are talking about gender-based violence and child abuse issues in general. As this is Human Rights Day, it's the last day of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And we are happy to have you join us on I-95 and on Facebook and YouTube. We have in studio Claire Guy-Alleyne.
Gary, can you play video B for us, please? Because Gary doing the operation this morning, we didn't know that, but thank Gary.
Thank
for
God
doing
for
it.
Gary.
Yes. Let's go.
This is a young man high on K.
Hey yo, it's Judah. Do not smoke K2. This kid is suffering from the results of smoking K2, which is a synthetic drug. It looks like marijuana, but it's not marijuana. Some say it kind of smells like marijuana, but no, it's synthetic. It's made up. It's not from the sun, the moon, the earth. It's not from God, and it doesn't grow naturally. This psychoactive substance is sometimes called kush or spice. It's very dangerous. If your friends come in contact with it or anybody that you know, I advise that you stay clear from it. It's not going to benefit you in any type of way. It's not going to make you cool. It's not going to give you more swag. It's not going to give you more girlfriends or make you more of a gangster or anything like that. It's probably will have you laid out like this dude right here who's missing school with his book bag on his back because he can't think and act right. He's probably hallucinating, he's paranoid, and he has an altered perception. He's delusional right now. He doesn't even know what life is. It's dangerous to the brain. Doctors don't even know what the long-term effect is going to be yet, but it's probably going to be a lot worse than this. A lot of people result in violent behavior. Some have heart attacks, their first or second puff. Some people have suicidal tendencies. A lot of people start vomiting, but one thing's for sure, it's very addictive. They say once you get on this, and if you do it for a couple weeks, you can't get off. If you try to get off, you're throwing up, you're sick, you don't feel normal, you can't function right. They say it's nearly impossible. It's almost like crackheads trying to get off of crack. Don't mess with K2.
That's that K2 shit, bro.
In 2010, 11,000 people were admitted into the hospital, and it's only increased since then. New York alone had 8,000 people between 2015 and 2016, and is currently going higher and higher as far as the people that are suffering as a result of abusing K2. It causes severe long-term depression, irritableness, a bad attitude, and confusion. A lot of people have went off and killed other people, not knowing, because they were under the influence of K2. This guy is about to roll on out in the street and run over. So this man is saving his life. People don't know what to do when people get on this K2. Some become very animalistic and zombie-like. Just leave it alone. Don't even contemplate it. I don't care if you heard the song about Lil Wayne saying, we smoke that kush, we smoke. You've seen Lil Wayne lately. He doesn't look like himself. That's all I gotta say. Hashtag official tribe of Judah.
Yep, those are the ill effects of this substance they're calling K2. It's also called spice. Like some people call it kush, but it's very cheap. It's much cheaper than the actual cannabis, and it's available to our children and to everybody, really. But it obviously has tremendously dangerous psychoactive effects.
Yep. So and it comes in very pretty packaging, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it, real pretty, and we'll show it next week. We've got what it looks like when you see it, and it's labeled as incense, but it's really that K2 is synthetic form of marijuana.
You think we have that here, girl?
Yes, it is here. I've seen it in the same online advertising that we found.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, on Facebook.
With the cannabis-infused products.
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of children dabbling in these things. Some of them even trying to commit suicide after it starts to take effect.
Yes.
Because
that, you remember, it's a it will affect your brain.
A psychoactive substance.
Yes.
So it's really sad, and it's circulating out there. And folks, you just have to preach to your children, That is all I keep saying, preach to them.
Yeah.
To servicemen out there, boy, to the servicemen who listening to us this morning, you have colleagues in prison right now who are going to experience their first Christmas in prison, away from their family. I know what that is like. I spent my first Christmas in prison. It was not a nice feeling. Well, they walk good now. Why it's so difficult? Why? What it is? What it is about prison that some of you all just lining up to go in? As taxpayers, I think the prison should afford people to just pay a visit and give them a tour, because we're paying for it. So why not, organize group tours and go into the prison and see what prison is like? Maybe it might force some of you to change your mind. The sex offender who allegedly, with the 16-year-old boy, what's the state of your family now? Imagine that happening to you Christmas time, 2 weeks before Christmas. Thank God when I got arrested, didn't have social media then, so my face wasn't plastered all over. Now, your husband's face being plastered all over social media for alleged sexual molestation of a child. Do you know that family, that's the end of their Christmas?
Yeah.
Or you could enjoy Christmas right now.
Yeah, you would.
That every time you scroll through Facebook, you're seeing somebody sharing.
And we live in a society where people don't care,
No,
because these things happening. Up to this morning, we had several reports of children being sexually abused throughout the 10 divisions.
Jesus,
we have reports.
Jesus.
So, you're in the public domain educating persons. But whilst we're speaking a perpetrator, he is saying, I'm not listening to them.
Yes.
So that's why I say it has a lot to do with mental health. And I wish that a research can be conducted to see whether all these perpetrators really do have a mental health issue.
I am looking forward to hear. Yes.
It is linked.
Hello, good morning. 6223937. And ma'am, before you go, remember you'll give us where people can make reports, locations, right?
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Pleasant morning to you, man.
Morning.
And the officer there. Well, I happen to be home here and listen to that program. Wonderful program. But I want to say, let me load on that radio, make sure, because I want you to understand what I'm saying.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking on our final legs here with Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne. Yes, we are hearing you, sir.
Right. Officer, I was an ex-man of the law. I'm also an international counselor, domestic violence and everything.
Excellent.
Now, I heard what you said. Now, as far as we're doing this survey, because I be on programs all in Africa, even now, the abuse of men to children is equivalent to a lower percentage in women to children the same way, because there are a lot of women who getting into this lesbianism and they're taking the same advantage on young girls the same way. But what I want to say too is that I heard you speak about the foundation of life starts within the house with marriage. The law was made for the lawless, and because the word of God is for the righteous people, the people who claim to want to follow Jesus Christ. So there were two sides. You could go to the left or you could go to the right. Now, I heard you made mention, right, vividly, is that the woman, 1 Corinthians 7 says that, you see, marriage is a mystical union. The body of the man belongs to the woman, and the woman body belongs. Now, this thing about rape, a woman rape, a husband raping a woman, we have to be careful what we're doing, because the foundation, I don't know what is your background into Christianity, and if we follow in the Bible, which millions follow, and that is the way of life, we have Islamic, we have Judaism, and if we follow in the Bible, it is taught that in Ephesians 5, Christ is the head of the church, and the man is the head of the woman. It doesn't say it falls in a fate to dominate or somehow, but there's a sort of equilibrium that they should work in unity. But the Bible tells, man, love your wife as God so loved the church. Ephesians 5, so he told the woman, a woman, obey your husband. Now, that is where you are now. Since in America, it started, I was a police all in America, and the division came that woman liberation. That is where the separation came.
Caller.
Yeah?
Okay, let's, because we have other people calling, but I just want to find out from you. So what you're saying really is that a man should not be charged for raping his wife. Is that what you're saying?
No, it can't be, because the Bible says, listen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you.
No,
I'm
sorry.
He's not alone in this, you know, God.
You see?
He is not alone in this.
You're here for yourself.
He's not alone.
Wow.
But I'm asking women who are in those relationships where that is happening, come forward, because it is underreported, because a lot of men feels that same way.
Are you kidding me, boy?
That
a
is
big
sad.
man
In
who was a police officer.
And he was a police officer.
That is scary. That is frightening.
That for me, I hardcore. And what you just said there, sir,
he hurt my heart.
That's scary. That real. Let's take another call, please. No, I can't.
Man.
You have to be mad.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to the St. Clair's.
Morning, sir.
Morning to Superintendent Guy-Alleyne. I'm glad that you came on the program to explain us all the ramifications, so that we could there'll be a downgrade of interference with children. It's unfortunate that this Old Testament belief is still being perpetuated, where it is okay to control your wife or your female
partner,
descendants.
I am still in shock.
So we have to be careful, because there's no reason why a man should brutalize his wife sexually, right, or otherwise. So we need to clear up these misconceptions, and I'm glad that the superintendent came and she gave us a good overview of the situation. Good show, safe trip home, and you all have a very pleasant Christmas and a prosperous 2024. God bless.
Thank you very much, and same to you, sir.
I am flabbergasted. I can't believe
don't be flabbergasted.
After all we talk here this morning, somebody could
because
still call to justify that the Bible say that you own your wife's body.
And this is a former law enforcement officer. So you could imagine what is going on in churches by men of the cloth.
And that is his interpretation, you know.
What
he's saying, the Bible never said that. Those are not the words.
Jesus Christ. Hello, good morning.
Of course.
Wow. No, sir, I can't agree with you here. And as a man, I am not siding with you with that. Are you crazy?
And he's saying that he's on a lot of committees and all these things.
Hi, good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning to the host and the guest. With the ad that you're speaking about, where the Goodly Minister talked about it, it used to bother my mind too, because apparently, like, the ad isn't finished as yet. Yes, you are telling a story concerning the senorita, I believe is there. I believe that was the ad. And then it haven't got a finish, telling you what should be take place. Yes, you are telling us where the guy is calling the senorita and whatever, but you need a finishing story behind it, warning people concerning what to expect then. So you all really need to look into it. And with the corporal punishment, I'm really not supporting that. I'm telling you the reason why, because I remember being young and the kind of licks where some of us get from my grandparents. I'm talking about plenty of us, 14 and 3 grandchildren who grew up. It wasn't easy. And in this time here, I know he would have been charged for what was taking place. And I'm not condoling it. I really don't like it. They can find other means of doing it, because I'm in my 60s, and believe it or not, I still dream or dreamt about the lick that passed, in my time. So I'm really not supporting that corporal punishment. They can really find some other ways of doing this thing concerning with children. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Thank you so much for saying that. I agree with you 100% on that.
Mr. Martino, I agree with you too. I'm sorry for cutting off the caller. Some people would say we give him too much time, because somebody now sent my message say we give him too much time.
But he
because
clearly
we don't normally do that to
his,
people, right?
his position. He articulated his position, and we
Yes.
can't be in support of that.
I'm sorry, we're not in support of it, but Mr. Martino, thank you for the correction. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, God, Natasha, and Sergeant Guy.
No, superintendent, senior superintendent.
Senior
That.
superintendent. Oh,
Yes,
maybe,
don't demote
maybe
the
a
name.
higher position is in the making.
Yes.
Anyway, when I heard the gentleman, it reminded me of slavery. There were people who misinterpreted the Bible to perpetuate slavery. You saw human beings as as animals, as not as human beings.
Yeah, because the
It
Bible did
reminded
say
me of
to
that.
honor your master too.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Go ahead, caller. Sorry.
Understand? So so it is that slavery. Anyway, what you all are teaching, Miss Guy, is and Natasha and oh gosh.
Yes, me.
And so filled with this thing.
Yes.
That
Don't worry,
we
go
have
ahead.
to look out for each other.
Yes.
This thing about violence, no form of violence should be tolerated.
Exactly.
Imagine you are bruised and brutalized as a human being, and you must take that, they say, till you die, till death do us part. That is crazy. That's right. That is madness. You must take that brutality till you're dead. No, man. No. Brutality or violence in any form is unacceptable. So thank you all for sensitizing the public and bring it to the fore. Right? So no pastor, no priest, no imam, nobody should tell anybody when you are being abused, you must take that till you die. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. I'm just calling to give out a contribution concerning gentleman. Number one, I don't think it's right for any man to force himself on any woman, whether he's wife or anything.
Agreed.
And matter of fact, sex is with consent. Any sex out of consent is rape. So,
no means no.
So no means no, and don't support that at all. And I'm calling from the standpoint as a pastor as well. I was just listening to the news coming from church. The Bible did say about bodies submitting to one another, but it didn't give rights to any man to abuse a woman. You know what I mean? To force himself or herself on one another. But we will submit ourselves one to another with consent and respect one towards another. And so I really want to support the program. Continue to do what you're doing. Encourage the young women and the young men to respect each other and to value themselves. You know what I mean? So God bless you all and have a tremendous day.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Same
you
to
very
you.
much.
Before we run out of time,
Yes,
Superintendent, the locations.
The locations.
Right. In Tobago, we are located in the Roxborough and Chauvin Police Station. In Northern Division, we are located in Maloney as well as Maracas St. Joseph. In the Eastern Division, we are located at the Sandy Grande Police Station. In Northeastern Division, we are located at the Barataria Police Station.
Right.
Central Division, we are located in Shogunas Police Station. In Southern Division, we are located at the Gasparillo Police Station. And in the Southwestern Division, we are located at Labre as well as Oropouche Police Station. When it comes to the Port of Spain Division, we are located at Sinclair Police Station. Western Division, we are located at Carinal. So we are all over, and we are always accessible.
Okay. Thank you so
Do you
much.
have a phone contact or a phone number that way
Well,
people
the
can...
easiest number is that people can remember would be 999 and the 555 numbers.
And they will dispatch you.
And they will dispatch you. You
Okay.
can also
Gary?
look up for us on the internet, and you can call us through those numbers as well. That is available on the internet.
Right. We take one more before we go because we have Janelle Wilson in studio
Yeah.
to...
I just call us and leave my number. See the pastor who call here? My number is 358-6731. Ask him to call me, please. 358-6731.
And who... Hello, good morning. Morning.
Yeah, morning.
Oh, is the same man called back to him?
Yes,
and
sir.
Superintendent.
Quickly, please.
Senior Superintendent. Morning to you, madam.
Quickly, sir. 30 seconds.
Yeah, what's going on there is that that man is totally wrong about man raping his wife and they shouldn't be charged. That is madness. But anyway, what I called to talk about briefly is the person who was charged with the sexual penetration of the 16-year-old. That is taking advantage of a child, right? And this must not be tolerated. The laws must be enforced because this behavior is being encouraged for a long time by people in high society. It's high time that they be held accountable, and when they are caught, let the chips fall where they may. They have to be held accountable.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
have a good day.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So that's it for us today. Thank you so much, Superintendent Claire Guy-Alleyne, Senior Superintendent. I hope the next time she returns here. And we were really happy to have you. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
God bless you
being
and
here.
your unit
Yes.
and
Yes.
all units attached to you all,
Yes.
to the BVU. Thank you
Of
for all the
good
great work
work.
you all doing because you all emotionally involved in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, we are.
You all are emotionally involved. Gary, you have come this morning. Thank you. That was for you and all the hard-working police officers and members of the Protective Service in Trinidad and Tobago.
yes.
That applause was for you all. Thank you all so much. Keep up the great work. And
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Yes.
Thank you for having us on behalf of the Commissioner of Police
Thank
and the
you.
executive.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
You're welcome. Take care, folks.
afternoon.
Have a great week. Safe. Major news up next with Janelle Wilson.
Broadcasting from Port of Spain, Trinidad, this is the most influential name in radio. I-95.5. Live local coverage you can depend on. This is News Center 5 at noon.
The opposition criticizes the Prime Minister for not taking leadership in Venezuela-Guyana conflict. New political party called Hope is launched. Dr. Keith Rowley dismisses talk that his government is hiding Coleman report into the Clicquot collapse. And Benjamin Netanyahu expresses displeasure at Russia's position against Israel. Good afternoon, I'm Janelle Wilson. The opposition is hailing the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for fostering talks between the leaders of Venezuela and Guyana. President Nicolas Maduro and President Irfan Ali are expected to meet next Thursday amid a territorial dispute between the two countries. The announcement of the bilateral meeting came after Mr. Maduro spoke with Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Saturday. Tensions have been mounting escalating in recent weeks between Venezuela and Guyana due to a long-running border dispute over the Essequibo region, an area where massive discoveries of offshore oil and gas have been made. Speaking with TV6 News yesterday, Dr. Gonzalez said the talks are aimed at preventing the situation from escalating.
Always better when people have a conflict for them to talk and talk respectfully to each other so that we could avoid the further escalation into dangerous levels of the conflict. These discussions are clearly without prejudice. The jurisdiction for the ICJ here has evolved in a particular manner, and Guyana is pursuing that particular course. But people must talk when they have conflict. If you don't talk, you're more likely to fight. And I am hopeful that the modalities would be put in place for continued face-to-face dialogue.
Venezuela's government has said the meeting is in order to preserve its aspiration to maintain Latin America and the Caribbean as a zone of peace. Meanwhile, the office of the president of Guyana confirmed Mr. Ali had agreed to the meeting but added that Guyana's land boundary is not